Hi, and welcome to the Take+Make Pom-pom kit from the Orange County Library System. In this tutorial video, we're going to learn how to make pom-poms. Pom-poms are great accessories. You can use them for decoration. You can attach them to your hair or to a toggle on a backpack. So there's lots of different things you can do with them, and they're super easy to make. Now, in your pom-pom kit, you're going to have a few things. You're going to have a yarn bundle. You're also going to have a plastic fork. And you're going to have your instructions. In addition to that, you're going to need a pair of scissors. Now to get started, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your bundle of yarn and you're going to untie it. It's actually two pieces of yarn. There's a shorter piece and a longer piece. The longer piece is tied with the shorter piece. Go ahead and separate those out. Then take your fork and the shorter piece of yarn, and you're going to drape the shorter piece of yarn in the middle of the tongs for your fork. Once you've done that, it's ready to wrap the longer piece of yarn. This is actually going to make your pom-pom, whereas the shorter piece is going to tie everything together. Take the shorter piece of yarn and wrap it around all 4 tines of the fork repeatedly until you have a nice ball of yarn. If you feel like for some reason the yarn is a little bit too long, you can always cut it short of wrapping the whole thing. Typically you're wrapping it around 25 times around the fork, 25 to 30 times, to make a tiny pom-pom. Continue to wrap around the fork until you've wrapped 25 to 30 times or you've used all the yarn, depending on what you feel. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and continue to wrap that. I'm going to go a little bit faster. Notice that I'm wrapping above the shorter piece of yarn that I laid in the tines of the fork earlier, and that's so it doesn't get caught up in the wrapping. And you can see here's the individual piece of yarn that I placed in earlier, the shorter piece, and it is just below this bunch of yarn that I wrapped around my fork. Now the next thing I have to do is I have to secure this so I can take it off the fork, and I'm going to do that with this piece of yarn. If you take it up through the middle of the tines and then tie it very tightly. I'm going to tie it once, just a simple tie, and I'm going to tie it very, very tight. Of course, you can get somebody else to help you if you need an extra pair of hands while you do this. The most important thing is to get it as tight as possible. That's going to keep all of this little piece of yarn secure. Once you've tied it once, go ahead and knot it. It may come off your fork. If that does, that's okay. If it didn't come off your fork, that's okay too. Go ahead and just slip it off your fork. Now you see I have this bundle of yarn. I have the portion that I tied it with, and then you may also have 2 shorter tails. These shorter tails of yarns, or ends of yarns, you can just cut off. You can also cut off the tie if you would like to. However, if you want to use it to tie it to a backpack or to put it on a present, you will need something to secure it with, and these are really handy to do that. So you can leave these intact if you would like. Next, you're going to notice that we have the tie in the middle. We want to be careful not to cut that, and then we have all of these little loops on the side. I'm going to take a moment, and with my scissors, I'm going to very carefully cut all of these loops. Now the loops can kind of hide, so as I'm going through, I'm going to make sure that I've got all of the loops cut. Now be very careful with the scissors. If you need any help, you can always ask for help. And I'm going to look in here. I'm going to see that there's probably a few loops on the inside, and I'm going to cut those as well. Now I'm going to go to the other side, and again I'm going to very carefully do this. If you're not very proficient with scissors, I would definitely ask somebody to help you, and that does include asking an adult if you're new to using scissors. Alright, and I've cut all my loops on both sides and I'm going to check the inside to make sure that there's no loops hiding, and I see that there are a couple in there, so I'm going to cut those too. Alright, and now I've got everything cut. You can fluff it a little bit with your fingers, but don't pull any of the strands very hard. They will come out even though it's tied. Now we're ready to trim this up, because I've got the basic shape of my pom-pom, but I have a lot of strands that are different sizes. So I'm going to take my scissors again, and I'm going to very carefully go around and cut off all of the larger pieces. Being careful of my fingers and being careful of those longer strands of my tie if I want to keep them. You may have to do this several times to get the desired shape. Just continue to trim it until you feel happy with the result. And almost done. Okay. Now once you've got it trimmed to your desired length all the way around and you've gone through, kind of fluffed it with your fingers, you can also take the fork that was included in the kit and you can just fluff it a little bit more. And that will make it nice and fluffy and it will look like a great pom-pom. Alright, and that's the last thing you have to do. You now have a pom-pom and you are ready to go. I hope you've enjoyed this Take and Make pom-pom kit tutorial from the Orange County Library System, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks. Have a great day.